Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. It's Jane from Surface Anthology in Chalk Mercantile. How is everybody? It's early. It's 9:17 here in Connecticut. But this week's been a crazy week. My grandson is starting kindergarten. His mom has a doctor's appointment this morning, so he'll be coming over. Then they go to their meet and greet. How cute is that? And then tomorrow's his first day. Yesterday I cut his hair. And the thing that complicates everything is we live along the Connecticut River. I live on the west side of the river, yes, and they live on the east side of the river. And in between the two, right in my town and their town, is this beautiful bridge called the Swing Bridge. It's one of these bridges that turns. It's over 100 years old. It's by the beautiful, what's it called? The big, beautiful Goodspeed Theater. And look that up in East Haddam. It is stunning. But anyway, they're working on it. So it's been closed, like completely closed from like, I don't know, Saturday to Wednesday. So then we have to take this little, I call it a raft, but the ferry, which, you know, fits like 5 cars, and I feel like we're going like this across the river, but you can imagine the lines, because this is the bridge in the middle kind of our Middlesex County where we are. There's another big bridge in Portland, you know, that's over a half hour away. Then there's one down in Old Saybrook, and that's really long. So it's been crazy. So anyway, let's finish up our tray today, right? How beautiful, it's upside down. But I wanted to show you, I posted this. This is one of the 3 pieces I posted on Instagram and Facebook. Make sure you follow me. You can check out the pictures there at Surface Anthology or at Chalk Mercantile. But if you remember these frames, I had so much fun with these frames that I got at Goodwill. Oh, this one doesn't have the price, but they were, you know, very 1950s or 60s design. They were bought in a hardware store, and I redid them in milk paint and made this really chippy, delicious finish. And then the original pieces that were in there were really awful and depressing. So I actually cleaned them very carefully, and I put a coat of the same paint. This is Coral Sea by Amy Howard at Home, and did the Chateau inlay right on that. And how beautiful is that? I just love it. But I'm going to be hanging 3 of them together in my laundry area, which is a kind of a dark area of my home, and really brighten it up. So I'm really happy with how that came out. And look at that frame. If you want to see how I made them, again, go to YouTube, Surface Anthology on YouTube, and you can see how I made over those frames. Now, this is our fabulous tray that I'm really excited about. And the last time I was live, I had just put this inlay. This is the Melange inlay. Hey there, Debbie. Thank you. Debbie's saying gorgeous. All right. Thanks for joining me today. So I put this inlay on and these 2. And then, as I said, and if you want to see that, go to Surface Anthology on YouTube and you'll see how I did this. And then I just put little cut out pieces all the way around in kind of a very, I don't know, no rhyme or reason to it way. And sometimes what people find a little disconcerting about the paint inlays is they leave a different texture, right, around the paint inlay than your painted surface. And what I did is I just took an artist brush. Let me dry this out, right, like this. And when I was done with all my inlays, I just went back in with the one-step paint, and I just kind of crisscrossed and went around and blended it a little. It doesn't bother me at all. I wanted an irregular painted surface, and that's what I did. Now, the thing about this coral sea, as you'll see here. See that yellow? And remember, if you watched my first tutorial for this, I looked at my brush and I saw yellow and I was like, what is that rust? And what's wrong with my brush? Well, this paint separates and it has a lot of that yellow in it. And what's interesting is I wanted to do a little sand distress, which I very, very rarely do. I rarely pick up a piece of sandpaper to distress for a million reasons, right? But what was happening when I was doing that is it was exposing some of that yellow. Ooh, and I don't want yellow to be exposed, but I do want a tiny bit of distressing, you know, along the edges. So what I'm gonna do instead is when I'm not gonna be holding my sanding block like this, I'm gonna just do the edges very, very sharp. So all I'm doing is going like this, very lightly. Just to get some of that wood to come out and give me like a little distinction around those edges. And you can do this before you wax. I'm going to be waxing. You guys know I love my wax. Or after you wax. This is really fast, really easy. If I do too much, I just grab my paint and I retouch those areas. And I love sanding blocks. I very rarely use like a piece of sandpaper. This just feels good in my hand. It does what I want it to do. And keeps it from kind of, I don't know, it has more structure. Now I've got my microfiber cloth and I'm just gonna wipe away that that dust. No wax yet. Just like that. Get it off. Before you wax or do any kind of finishing, especially like with a poly, you don't want any of the paint dust around. So let me show you what that does to the edge. Can you see that? It just knocks off just a little bit, right? Just to give it a little line, you know, that's all I wanted because I love, love, love this tray and I think I'm going to be hanging it on my wall. I love it so much. So this would be lovely down a dining room table. My grandfather was a blacksmith and I could take 2 of his candlesticks, put them right in the middle. I've got these very cool orange and black for Halloween. This can go Christmas. This can go a lot of different ways. All right, now for the fun part to finish it so we can use it. Make sure you have none of that dust around. And if you want to do on a project like this more distressing, you know, like maybe along this, but not bring up that weird yellow. It's like the pigment settled in a certain order, you know, it's really wild. But there I did just a little bit, very, very slightly. Can do that over here. And I like the black because it holds itself flat and I'm not taking away too much. This has become one of my absolute favorite paint inlays, and you guys know I love the paint inlays. Love, love, love. Okay, wipe this away. And see, even here, a little tiny bit of that yellow was exposed, but that's all right. So I've got a little bit more distressing, And I might mess around, you know me, when the camera's off, I might go back in here, do a little bit more after it's waxed. Absolutely no reason that you can't sand after something is waxed. Okay, now grab I'm using the DIY clear wax. The other thing is you can use colored waxes here to distress. I don't want to muck this up too much. I tend to like these more clear kind of paint finishes, but if I decide, gee, after a week, you know, I think I'm going to add some dark wax, I can do that very, very easily. So I've got my little cardboard palette. There's the clear wax. Don't ever work out of your jar, because you could get some of that paint dust in there. And like I like to say, then when you're working on that pristine white piece, all of a sudden you'll get orange in it, right? Okay, I'm using a natural bristle brush. This is what I always use to wax. When I'm waxing a piece of furniture, I don't use, this is the Amy Howard 2.5-inch brush. I use a nice big waxing brush. So to me, the key to waxing, and it's my hands down favorite finish, my dining room table is waxed, everything's waxed, is you need to just put on a thin, even coat and let it dry. These types of waxes, I love Miss Mustard Seed Wax. I just brush it on. There's no need, they do not recommend lifting it back up again, right? You just have to put down that nice veil and let it dry. And then I just brush it on. And you see, this is turning darker. So you can see where you've been by how the paint is getting darker, and it will lighten back up. There it is. The inlays are not bleeding, okay? So I haven't had that issue. But the inlay's not bleeding. It looks fantastic. Hey, Diana, how are you? Yay! These are the early birds, right? I know some people, they're the night owls, and I'll get some notices. Some nights I'm in bed at 8:30, you guys, especially after a day with my 5-year-old grandson. But, and I'll hear, I have my phone plugged in our master bath. I turn it, you know, I put it on vibrate, but I'll hear like a notice. The next day I'll get up to look at my notifications. People are going live at 10 o'clock at night, right? Oh, so nice to see you, Diana. All right, have a great day. Thanks for watching. All right, so I'm brushing this on. Easy peasy. People get intimidated by wax, and it's just so easy, so forgiving. You can keep working on your finish right after you wax. It's the best. It's just the best. And nothing will give you patina like wax. Maybe the only other thing would be oil, like hemp oil. But the poly patina is yellowing or chipping. There are some good polys out now, top coats, that I use. We'll see what they look like in 50 years, God willing, if I'm still here. Okay, you see how fast that went? Just make sure you have that nice, even veil of wax. And then the inside. Now, if I were to do a colored wax, which would look beautiful, I always do a slip coat. So this would be my slip coat. So that way, when I put on my colored wax, I can still manipulate it because I have a slip coat underneath it, so it won't be absorbed into the paint. So I always do a slip coat. And that's it. How easy is this, right? Get in all the corners. And I will do the other side also when this side is dry so I could turn it over. But there it is. Isn't it beautiful, Diana? This is Coral Sea by Amy Howard at Home. I know that DIY paint has, I think it's Cowgirl and Flame Starter, but some really beautiful oranges. But I love it with the Melange Inlay. The Melange Inlay is not black. It's actually a really, really like burnt umber, dark brown. And I love it. I just think it looks great. This is the same color, and I waxed this yesterday with the Chateau Inlay, and I love it. And man, and somebody, I forgot who it was, in the comments, tell me who you are when you see this, was talking about using a coral color with turquoise. And I thought about what she had said, and I was like, wow, you know, there's like a turquoisey green in the Chateau Inlay. And I put it on there, and it brings out this pale turquoise in the milk paint that I used, which I think I might have mixed. Now I can't remember. Go to my YouTube channel to see it. But man, does that just make a really dynamic palette. And I talk about this in our membership. When you use kind of opposite colors, right? Blue and orange, things are gonna pop. They're going to set each other off. They're going to create a lot of energy. It's the opposite of a monochromatic finish. And that is so true with this, and I'm really, really happy with it. This, look at how different the orange looks here, the coral color, with this inlay, which is this beautiful deep brown, but it's lovely. But you would, you know, it looks totally, totally different. Yes, thank you, Diana. Thanks, you guys. It is really good to see everybody this early Tuesday. I'm going to let this dry, turn it over, give it a little wax on the back. Let me show you what there's the distressing. And I might go back in and distress a little bit more around these edges. I'll probably bring it down to my dining room table, put it out, and see how it looks. Like, how do I like it with the wrought iron candlesticks? Hold it up on the wall, see how I like it, that kind of thing. And that's it for this project. I'm not sure when I'm going to be back. Hey, Susan! Good to see you. I dropped your order off yesterday. And in fact, at 10 o'clock, I'm going to call them to make sure they found it because they were closed. Everybody, what I'm talking about is my space in Deep River, Connecticut. And for people who are local but who order online at Chalk Mercantile, they don't pay shipping and they can just pick it up. So Susan, your order is there with your name on it, ready to go. Diana's asking, so you buff your wax at some point. You know what? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I was playing around. I remember this little project, my gilded blocks. I put one coat of wax on milk paint, which you guys know I love. And I was giving it a buff, right? And it's not, you get a very, very, there it is, a little tiny sheen. Something like this. I may buff. I might do something really light. My dining room table, I buff the heck out of it because, and you'll hear me mentioning it, I've done it, you know, I waxed 3 times with 24 hours in between, and each time I wax, you know, I wax at the end of the day, get up the next morning, buff the heck out of it, wax the end of the day, and then you get this beautiful hard finish. It's gorgeous. So then I buff like crazy when I want to create a really durable finish. You know, I may or may not, depending on if I want this to be, have a sheen to it. And I'm glad you asked that, Diana, because when you look at, let me see if I could get it to come up. See that little difference in the paint texture, right? between the paint that was underneath the inlay and the paint that I kind of brushed. If I want to make this kind of more equal, I could buff the whole thing, and the whole thing will have a satin sheen. And I use a buffing brush, a horsehair brush to buff. You can use a clean microfiber cloth to brush is great. A lint-free, please, lint-free cotton cloth. If you use a cotton cloth with tons of lint, it's going to get embedded in your wax, and you're going to have a haze and be very unhappy. So yeah. Oh, Susan saying thank you. You are so welcome. Oh, thank you, Diana. Diana saying she had friends visiting the area and told them to check out my booth. Thank you so much. I just I stocked up on the DIY paint. I added some Amy Howard at Home products. I had to do an inventory. I need, and you guys know with all the Iron Orchid stuff, it's like I need a system for kind of hanging it instead of just putting it on the wall. So I have to figure all that out because I have a ton of products, let me tell you. But thank you so much, Diana. There's so much to see at G's. G's, everybody, if you just join me, is where I have my space in Deep River. It's G's Treasures, and it has a ton of dealers in there, vendors, with so much great stuff. You gotta go in. Really, really well priced also. So thank you, Diana. Everybody, thank you so much. I'm not sure when I'm going to be back again this week because it's a little bit crazy as we all get used to our new schedules, but I'm going to try to be back to start a new project. So stay tuned. And if you want to see anything that I worked on today, again, go to my YouTube channel, Surface Anthology. And I will see you all very, very soon. Happy painting, everybody, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.